Okay, so we're going to do a couple of different things now. I'm going to show you how to tidy up an image a little bit. Let's say, for example, we've got a fruit in here and we want to tidy it up a little bit. I want to get my composition working better, so I'm going to try and get a little bbit of balance in it by wiggling around some of my elements, just so that I can get a little bit more excitement into the piece. So I'm looking at these apples down here, maybe the edge of that apple, and then the heights, maybe getting the base of these apples sitting on that horizontal edge. And let's just say that's where we want to go. Double click on it and I can get it looking reasonably good. Now I've got a little bit of an issue with this little $5 note area up here. So one way of getting rid of that is by using the clone stamp tool. So just click on that. What that does, if you hold down the Alt key, you can select an area next to where that is, and if I take my finger off, it'll kind of like trace the part where that little cursor is, and I can keep doing that and hold it down, click, and use it to rub out almost. Really what it's doing is copying the area next to it, so I can get rid of that $5 which was really bugging me. So that's one way of tidying up your image. You can also go into adjustments and play around with things like hue and saturation. Now, dropping back the saturation a little bit, as you can see, if I drop it down to say 14, it just takes off that really brightly coloured edge, and adding a little bit of brightness or lightness to the piece can also make it look a little bit more like Cezanne. I probably wouldn't wiggle around the hue so much if I was mucking around with this, considering I want to try and get a Cezanne style piece of work. It's not going to work so much just to muck around with that. Okay, so I've got my image looking about right, about the same sort of level as I'm keen on. Okay, so what I want to do now is go up to layer and select duplicate layer, and I can call this something so that I know what it's going to be. I'm going to do a couple of little tricks here. First, I'm going to get a photocopy layer. So over here in this corner here, you can select what is going to be manipulated. Now there's a little padlock on that, so I want to avoid changing that. I want to be able to get this to this level here, and I want to select filter from my filter gallery. So go in here, and I've got it a little set as it is on photocopy, so it's in the sketch section. So if you want to select stuff, a graphic pen if I wanted to, but photocopy is a really good one, and I can play around with the darkness of it and also the detail of it, if that makes sense. Darkness is something that I'm really wanting to like focus on and to get a little bit more of that grainy sort of detail in it. Okay, now you notice I've lost my other image, which is not really a little bit of a problem at the moment. You'll notice over here I've got opacity, and that's how see-through I can make this image. So that gives you a hint about what I'm going to do next. I want to make another duplicate layer, and this one I'll call posterize. or American if I put a Z in it. The layer there appears underneath. I want to put it on top. And then what I want to do is go into Adjustments, Posterize, and like we've done before, selecting a sort of posterized filter on this, like so, and then muck around with the opacity, and we can get those black lines coming through to give it a little bit more edge. And I can play around now, changing and adjusting my brightness and my contrast on the various layers to get more or less of that grain in. Also with my posterized layer, I can adjust the brightness and contrast of that particular layer if I wish. Again, you can go in to the hue and saturation and make a little bit more brightness in there, and you can drop back some of that saturation, and if you wish you can play around with a little bit of that hue and saturation and try and get a little bit more of the artist's intentions with the fruit and cloth and things in this particular drawing. And so there you go, it's a nifty little thing, using opacity to enhance your drawing.